Welcome to the Industrial Athletic Trainers Society Continuing Education Program OnDemand series. We're excited to have you join us and dive into this tailored content created just for you. Whether you're looking to expand your knowledge, sharpen your skills, or stay current with the latest industry insights, you've come to the right place. Our OnDemand series allows you to learn at your own pace, anytime, anywhere. Stick around until the end for important instructions on how to claim your OnDemand continuing education credit. Thanks for choosing the Industrial Athletic Trainers Society. Let's get started.
Alrighty, well, welcome everybody. I am real excited today for us to talk about resiliency and mindfulness, and then it sounds like we're going to be doing a couple activities as well virtually. So I'm pretty excited about that. My name is Mike. I'm with the Education Committee here with the Industrial Athletic Training Society. Thank you everyone for being here. Stick around at the end. I'm going to kind of have an announcement about our CEU process. Y'all are going to be the very first for us to implement, but we have a new system where once you complete our assessment, you should be issued in less than 24 hours the CEU certificate through Certify-em. So we're really excited about that, but just wanted to make sure that everyone's aware that we're changing up just a little bit compared to the past, just so that our members can get things as fast as possible. So for today, I've got here the wonderful Patty Sellner and Furgerson. Thank you so much for joining us. So I got a couple bios here. So Bree is an athletic trainer who has been working in the industrial setting with utility construction for almost 5 years. She spent several years as a clinician in spinal cord and trauma brain injury rehab after working at Open University following grad school. After suffering a cervical spine injury from a car accident in 2016 and many unsuccessful years of conventional treatment, she stepped into the world of alternative therapies. Bree found relief once gaining an RYT 200 certification. So I did look that up. That's with yoga, and further specialized certifications in pre and postnatal yoga and adaptive yoga, which she utilizes extensively in the SCI community. Since then, Bree has gained interest in functional health, nutrition, mental health, utilizes a wealth of acquired skills, and has successfully implemented basic yoga and breathing principle techniques in her current utility employees, while providing them with health and wellness lifestyle adjustments. And then we're also joined here with Patty, one of our members of the Education Committee, with us. So Patty here is a licensed athletic trainer with over 25 years of experience in 3 West Michigan high school settings. She embraced an opportunity to gain experience and learn new things in an industrial setting, and is currently working with ATI Worksite Solutions, embedded within the workforce of a large utility. She enjoys building out bold and innovative programs and considers herself a teacher and lifelong learner at heart, but also a relationship builder who finds immense joy in building connections with her networks and stakeholders. She's a big picture thinker, which we definitely appreciate on our committee. She's our member who likes to help us generate new ideas and implement new programs for our members. And she's also an avid kayaker and audiobook enthusiast. So Patty, Bree, thank you so much for your time today. I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Hey, well, it's good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome. Here in Michigan, it is cold and rainy, so it is not a great mental health sort of a day here in Michigan. I was excited to be given the opportunity to speak on this topic. I have been, as Mike said, working in athletics for over 20 years, and then came to the industrial setting. What I learned through the research that Bree and I have been doing in the last month to make sure we had checked all our boxes on what we wanted to cover, that I probably have been practicing mindfulness for my entire career, because it is about finding us focus and pain reduction. And many of us came from the traditional setting, and remember those athletes that used to get hurt and start screaming and doing all those things. And I had athletes from affluent neighborhoods, inner city, farm communities, all those places. And I discovered throughout my practice that the first thing I asked them to do was take a deep breath so that they could focus on something besides the pain. And little did I know that there was actually a name for it way back then when I was practicing, but it's something that I have stuck with throughout my career and now translates very well to my position here in the industrial setting. And I was so excited to come to the industrial setting because I was learning something every single day. And when we came, we were doing stretching with these big groups of men and trying to get them motivated to try new things. And the game changer for me was in 2017, I enrolled in a yoga for industrial settings course. And it changed everything for me about how we could introduce this topic to 40-year-old men. And you don't have to say that it's mindfulness or yoga, but just teach them how to move and to breathe. And it's a game changer for a lot of our employees. So I continue to apply all of that. And now I just know the lingo a little better than I did when I was in the high schools in rural Michigan. So Bree, what brought you to this topic?
So after I left the conventional athletic system, I moved into a clinician role working at the SCI TBI clinic and decided to take a yoga class for myself. And I hadn't taken a yoga class in several years. I took a class in undergrad and then decided after getting back into it that I wanted to learn to teach it. So I went through teacher training, and it really brought on an awareness that I didn't know that I needed for even just my personal life. And it's followed me through. I was able to utilize it in the clinic a lot. It helped save me from postpartum depression after having my second child and through some really traumatic life experiences. So being able to bring mindfulness moments and the ability to move your body freely in whatever way your body is allowing you to do so has transitioned really nicely to the utility company, because like Patty said, you don't generally see men wanting to take the initiative to stop and think about those types of things. Granted, we do have women that work here too, and they are a little bit more receptive to those types of things, but getting them to just slow down and think about what's really happening in their body has been really eye-opening, because working in a utility company, you really have to think outside the box.
Yeah. So what I'm going to challenge all of you to do, no matter what your comfort level is with mindfulness or this topic, is to get comfortable for 45 minutes. Try to put your phone down if you're able to, not be on call or interrupted. Maybe take your shoes off, because that makes people a lot more comfortable and can decrease your stress level. I know some of you have probably steel-toed boots on and got to run out if somebody gets hurt. We understand that, but just try to be present in the moment here with us as we go through some activities. And we're going to try to get you comfortable with the quiet, because rarely do you get on a virtual call and there's quiet. And so there may be some moments of quiet today during this call. Don't worry, you didn't lose the signal. We're going to just ask you to be quiet, be present, and think, and maybe quiet your brain a little bit. Okay, so as we do that, and then we have the conflict of interest slide. We don't work for any of these companies.
I'm so sorry.
We didn't do the research, but we did do a fair amount of research on this to make sure we were most current on the topic. And I was amazed the difference between 2017 and 2025, the amount of research there is on this topic. So we don't have any conflict of interest. Okay, so now here's your first skill. This was a graphic that I became aware of in May. May is Mental Health Month, and May is as crazy as December sometimes. So we may all need to take a moment and just take some deep breaths. And what I want you to think about is which of those little gremlin emoji things, where are you at today? I'm going with, you can type it in the chat if you'd like. I'm going with curious, confident, excited to be here with all of you. What about you, Bree?
I'm definitely anxious and excited, and so grateful to be a part of this.
Yeah. So look at those and think about it for a minute. And where are you on the spectrum? And maybe it's a combination. We can all be a combination. So, all right. So this slide right here, when we start talking about stressful factors, extreme crisis, depression, exhaustion, pain, we've all been there. We all know all of these feelings, and this black background and can maybe put us in a place. I'm not fond of slides ever that have a black background. They just create a little angst in me and some stress. And this is just an example of how changing the background on a slide can impact me emotionally, or impact my feelings. So go ahead. And the first study that I looked at was from the Harvard Business Review, and it was about mindfulness and behavior change. And behavior change is one of the things we hope to gain in our employees, get them to make a little more positive choices, get them to maybe choose not to go to smoke or chew tobacco every day, or help them to make better food choices. With our guys, it's a lot about the food choices. Nutritionally, sometimes that can be a big challenge. To help mitigate chronic disease, emotional regulation, and mindfulness can help. Self-regulation, as far as what we choose to do or what we choose not to do. And then there's so many other topics. This is a great study. And the funny part about this study is, if you look at it, there are as many pages of references as there is research. So that means these people are really shaking the bushes about what the latest research and trends is. Go ahead. And then the second one here is from the University of Utah State, and it's about mindfulness in the management of chronic pain. And that's where mindfulness comes in a lot with ourselves. How do we manage pain? And then with our employees. And so this is a really good study that talks about different ways to do that. And the other thing, pain management, it talks about focused attention. Do we focus, or do we let our brains squirrel all over the place all day long and be totally disorganized? So that can be me some days. I am the squirrel in the morning, and I travel a lot for my position. And so some days I get in the car and make the conscious decision to go with silence for the first half an hour, so I can try to find my focus, be more mindful of where I'm driving and where I am. And we all have been in the car, and all of a sudden you go, where am I? Did I pass my exit? That's because our mind has traveled off somewhere, and that can be dangerous. So individuals who practice mindfulness approach have decreased reports of pain, increased coping abilities, and less psychological and distress, depression, worry, and sadness. So you go to the graph. This impressed me as well. I know we're in Michigan, and that isn't why I picked this study, but University of Michigan Health, which is a big hospital system here in our part of the world, actually has a chronic pain team. And they have published a document they give to their patients about ways to manage stress that aren't related to narcotics or oral medication. And so if you zoom in on this, or if you look at the study later, you look at the bottom, it says mindfulness and breathing, and the strategies are the most important thing: healthy movement, meditation, and guided imagery. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so the fact that a big hospital system is really moving towards more mind, body, and spirit techniques and mindfulness is a big plus, I think, as we're dealing with this big narcotics epidemic. So go ahead, the next one. All right, this should be a throwback for most of you, the old pain cycle. And how does the pain move? You get the painful stimuli, right? And then the pain sensation quickly runs from the neurons in your extremity and then up to your spinal cord, and then quickly up to your brain, and you get that ouch effect. So it is mindfulness ability to overload, sort of like add more transmission, and it slows the signal down actually in your spinal cord so that it doesn't go to the brain and poke the brain and you don't get that ouch. And that's why distraction and imagery and all those things help with pain, because they're slowing that pain signal down as it runs up to your brain. So I found that fascinating because, I mean, I saw this in school 30 years ago, and I never thought about it, how mindfulness would impact that pathway. And so stress and anxiety, there's probably not one person on this call that doesn't deal with a little bit of this every single day. And the difference between the two is stress is a body's natural response to perceived pressure or fight or flight. Or it could be related to having to do a presentation online for, peers all over the country. That could bring stress as well. So 50% of adolescents ranging 18 to 34 have the highest reported levels of stress, and stress puts your body at high alert. Long-term stress can accumulate in the body and cause long-term serious effects. And we're aware of what those effects are as far as high blood pressure, stroke, those kind of things. Anxiety, on the other hand, is a normal human emotion characterized by feelings of worry, fear, and that are unceasing. And those are on it's an internal created pressure. Roughly 19% of Americans suffer from an anxiety disorder. That means it's like 40 million. And then adolescents ranging from 13 to 18. Hey, you know what, Jack? I thought that was a little wide for adolescents myself too, the 18 to 34. I'm just reading what's on the slide. I'm glad you all feel young. So why?
I just hit outside that range now, but these numbers to me were extremely staggering, and maybe this is coming just off the heels of COVID and the generation that had to live with masks or learning from school and just the overall change in education. But why do we have such high numbers compared to other countries? When we think about Eastern world, and where meditation and mindfulness practice has been having for hundreds, if not thousands of years, why is it that they are so far ahead of us? Is it because there are cultural differences? Is it because family units are a little bit different? They have, multiple generations living in one home. They spend more time with their kids. Maybe their day is just generated a little differently than ours is. I feel like from the time we have young kids to get them ready for school, just everything is just high pressure and trying to just continue improving every single day, which isn't to say we shouldn't, but why can't we slow down either? And I think that's slowly changing as a culture here, at least in some different aspects, but maybe that's why we have a little more illness and a little bit more farm induced scripting.
Okay.
So stress versus anxiety here. This just shows a different little graph. It's kind of a play on a Venn diagram. You have the stress, which is an external cause, compared to the anxiety, which is internal. But stress and anxiety both can cause the same symptoms in people. So excessive worry, unease, headaches or body aches, high blood pressure, and loss of sleep. And those types of things can in turn increase your cortisol, inflammation, and then generate hormonal changes in the body. So when people think of stress, they may think of it as like a base level, just minute thing that comes and goes. Anxiety is something that generally sticks around for a while, but both of those things being heightened all the time, our body's not meant to stay in a fight or flight state. So your cortisol being constantly high can really wreak some havoc in your body.
Okay, so where do we start with this? A lot of people have that monkey mind, squirrel brain, all of that, where everything is running all over at once. And then I've heard people tell me, even my employees say, I can't do mindfulness. I can't slow my brain down. And they have a real trouble. And I appreciate that, because when I learned single nostril breathing, it was a game changer for me. So I'm going to ask you to get in a comfortable position, comfortable, and sit upright. And then what we're going to do is breathe a deep in, but only through the left nostril. You can, depending on how skilled you are, you can cover your right nostril, a big deep in, and then blow out of the right. When I'm really focused and I don't have to talk, I can do it without my hands. So we're going to do it for a minute. It's going to seem like a minute is an hour, but we're going to do it for a minute. All right. So just think about it. I will coach you just a little, but we're going to embrace a little bit of quiet. And all I want you to think about is in the left, out the right. Okay. Let's begin. In, breathe in. And then out. And then breathe in, and then out. And then breathe in through the left, and then out. So you can do it at your own pace. My pace is not necessarily your pace. In, and then out. So as you're doing this, you're getting that left and right brain going. In, and then out. And then in, and then out. Okay, one more breath. And then out. Okay, so pause for a second, and then we're going to reverse the direction. So now you're going to ask your brain to figure out how to get to go the other direction. So
before you start the clock, I do want to interject real quickly. If you do have stuffiness from allergies or you do have a cold, I would not recommend doing this breathing technique. The other ones will be just great for you, but this one may not be advantageous for you today.
Correct. And in Michigan, it's allergy season. And so that's the thing. That's why
3/4 of the year.
That's why I have to do it with my fingers right now. So, all right, let's do into the right. And then out. And then into the right. And then out. Into the right. And then out. Into the right. And then out. Of course, we don't recommend doing this when you're driving or operating heavy equipment. Okay, so you get the idea now. My friend Bree taught me a funny expression when I was thinking about this, that single nostril breathing is the pat your head, rub your belly of mindfulness. She goes, it's kind of the beginner where you start to be able to really focus and be able to do that. So there's your, so anyway, all right.
All right. Mental health. All this comes back around to mental health, right? Stress and anxiety are symptoms of things that we may be struggling with, or just overall health of your mental capabilities. So it's a condition that affects your thinking, your behavior, and your mood. It can change throughout the entire day and affect those you interact with, if you interact with anybody. So some people may think that they have a diagnosis of a mental health condition and that they're a problem or inconvenience to loved ones or spouses or people in their lives, and you're not alone. The number of people with mental health conditions versus just those with stress and anxiety is overwhelmingly high for those of us in the United States. So you are not alone. Just starts with step one. If you've been diagnosed or you just can relate in any capacity, then there are many tips and tricks that you can utilize. It may seem overwhelming or frustrating, but it can be just the gate to applying alternative therapies and improve things like situational anxiety, which I may or may not have right now. Mindfulness. So I could post and ask the question, what does mindfulness mean to you? We actually asked our coworkers when we decided to start doing this, just what their thoughts on mindfulness were. And they were actually quite intuitive. So many of them actually mentioned that it was a physical and sensory feelings that are happening in that present moment. And that really sums it up. It's a moment of non-judgmental reflection. So there's no external judgments that can even be performed. And the awareness of the thoughts and sensations that you are feeling at that moment. So not the moment where you were doing the single nostril breathing, but right now how you're feeling and what you're sensing. So really utilizing all of those senses. The quote at the bottom, mindfulness and meditation are thousands of years old, but their health benefits are relatively new. And it made me chuckle because instantly when I read that, I was like, absolutely, this is brand new. But again, if we're looking back at Eastern culture and Chinese medicine, they've been utilizing these things as medicine for a long, long time. So maybe it's just bringing awareness to it here in the United States, and that's what's making it feel so new. That quote actually came from a mindfulness and meditation article from Harvard University. So there's two ways to obviously look at that. So I found that pretty interesting. Mindful awareness. So how do we become mindfully aware of things that are going on, right? There's mindful eating, who would have thought, and mindful walking. Two things that we all do throughout the entire day, every single day, but do we really think about what is happening to us when we're going through these things? So mindful eating, fueling your body for optimal performance. That doesn't mean extreme athletic performances. That doesn't mean your triathlons, but it can help improve that. So really, when I say fueling your body for optimal performance, I'm talking about what is it doing to heal your body on a cellular level. Eating whole unprocessed foods, allowing yourself 10,000 or 8,000 or 5,000 steps a day, drinking plenty of water, but has enough that's nourishing in it to really actually help you. Chewing slowly and with intention, being present to your senses, and then paying attention to our fullness cues. So Patty and I were talking about this the other day, and I said, you think about when we're working and we're just trying to get a snack or a bite in while seeing people or going in between site visits, right? And then compare that to fancy date night with your spouse or, a parent or your kids. Do you slow down and really think about the courses as you have them? Are you really pairing your beverage to what you're eating, or are you rushing through that too? So we tend to be more mindful when it's planned that way, and not so much in our everyday life when we're sitting at the table before we have to run to practice with our kiddos. Mindful walking. This is something I recently started doing for myself. I got a walking pad for Christmas from my kids and my husband. And so automatically, if I turn it on in the winter here, then TV is going on to distract me, right? Or I'm putting in a podcast to listen to. But once I step outside and start walking, I don't utilize any external stimuli. So if I'm by myself, I'm listening to the space around me, right? How are my surroundings making me feel? Am I leaving space for the calm that I'm trying to bring? So here's where habit stacking comes in. Everybody wants to do all of these things that are helpful for their body, but maybe in that moment, you're really just needing to be singular and take that time to hear the leaves crunching on the ground in the fall as you take your walk, and smell the soil and the leaves as they're, as weird as it sounds, decomposing. Or maybe you can smell the rain in the springtime as they're nourishing the earth. So just different senses to make yourself aware of. And it's completely okay. When I walk with my husband, we always chat, and that's a great time to spend with your family, but know that there's still space for yourself too. So this lemon is more so representative of like an imagery technique you can use. And I can imagine that if everyone is sitting here, you're finding a comfortable position, whether you have your eyes open or closed, and I describe this big, full, juicy lemon to you, and it's cut in half, and you pick it up and you smell it, and you can automatically feel your mouth watering.
So do you want them to close their eyes?
No, we'll save it. We'll save it for a
You should
different one.
close your eyes. It's a good one. It's a good one. So close
So
your eyes.
you can close your eyes. Imagine you've just cut open this bright, big, juicy lemon, and you're just getting ready to put some in your water, right? So you roll it on the table, you cut it open, you bring it to your nose to smell it, and all of a sudden you can just smell that sour, that bitter, that tangy effect that lemon seems to have. You can almost smell the bitterness of the rind on the outside. You can almost taste the pithiness of the white on the inside. And then it just creates this effect all through your body. I feel my mouth watering about it already. So it's a technique that you can utilize to just really get in tune with your senses. And I think that's really important because that's not something that we generally do on an everyday basis. So what are the benefits and the challenges of mindfulness, right? We've talked about several things already, but relaxation. I had to do several breathing techniques before we started just to bring my heart rate down a little bit. I used to teach, and this is something I haven't done in a while. Just self-awareness, right? Can you make yourself aware of how you're currently feeling in that present moment? It can improve your focus, boost your mood, and then provide emotional regulation. Some of those things can be a little bit more challenging to come across, but with practice, they can become something that's a little bit more inherent. So the challenges, monkey mind. People think they go to yoga and everybody is in tune and they know all the things, and they go to, there's a meditation and I don't know how to meditate, and it can become very overwhelming. So monkey mind is that inability to control your thoughts and quiet your mind. Yoga for myself, that was the best place for me personally to not think about anything else. So when I'm in a yoga class, I literally think about what it is I am doing. I'm not thinking about my lists or anything that's externally happening. That's just me. But if I go to a guided meditation, I might hit some of those same things. If I try and meditate myself, it can be a disaster. But it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? So you have the possibility of low self-esteem. You're sitting in a class, maybe I can't do what these people can do. I'm nervous to take a class. I don't know where to start. And then the self-doubt, which leads to the over-apologizing and the overthinking. So that can further predict like doom and gloom and send us down a negative path. But again, it's extending some grace to yourself because we all have to start somewhere. Self-management. So things you can do on your own. Maybe you don't have time for classes or mindfulness videos, but these are some strategies you can utilize yourself to improve mindfulness for yourself. So self-awareness. How are you feeling in any given moment? If you are feeling overwhelmed, things are going crazy, you just can't seem to knock anything off your list, take a moment and be in that present moment. Take a breath. All right, slow yourself down. What can I do right now that I can control? And that just brings you into that present moment. Guided meditations with self-empowerment skills. So like I mentioned, meditation is hard for me personally, but you can start in small doses. So 60 seconds. Maybe you just are thinking about just that single nostril breath for 60 seconds. And that's a meditation by itself. You can slowly increase that time. Maybe 60 seconds is really long for you. And maybe you start with 20 or 30 seconds. Journaling is another way to encourage mindfulness for yourself. I find it very cathartic to, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, to jot everything down and then I burn it. I don't know what it is about the burning of writing down how you're feeling or what's frustrating you, but it tends to be really cathartic for me. I'm not an avid journaler. So I keep it to probably quarterly to be quite honest, because that's not, I love to read, but that's not a way that really is cathartic for myself. I'm more of a physical activity person. So working out, taking a class, going for a walk, finding someone to meet up with to take a walk and just talk about things that are going on in life. And then they do have the option for mindfulness apps. So there are several that are out there, and those can be really satisfying as well. Let's talk about sound. So many people use music as their way to calm themselves down, regulate their emotions. And sound has a significant effect on mental health. So you think about going to a concert, if you've ever been to one, everyone's there, excited, and just really all into what's happening. And you may get that same sensation from a workout or listening to music at home, but there really is something about just being in the venue of a concert that is healing. So most songs and standard music is tuned at 440 hertz. So that's not most music that's actually healing. 432 frequency aligns the physical and emotional body. So it's where it resonates more naturally with the human body and the natural world, which actually promotes relaxation and calm. So for people who do love music, Bohemian Rhapsody, Oasis's Wonderwall, those actually are set to a 432 hertz. So it's interesting that those types of songs tend to resonate with more people. 528 frequency is for love, harmony, and balance. So it is used for alternative therapy and as a sound healing technique. It reduces stress, improves cellular repair, which seems crazy just from listening, but our ears are so in tune to the rest of our body that it does actually make sense. So for me, the 528 hertz frequency reminds me of like galaxy noises. So if you've ever been to like a laser light show or you watch a movie and they show like a starry scene, sometimes that galaxy sounds that go along with it, there's a little bit more gong, the tones go up and down. Stairway to Heaven, Sweet Child of Mine, and Adele's Hello are all songs that are tuned to the 528 frequency. The last part of that is vibration. So sound bowls, if you've ever heard of sound bowls, it's just bowls in different size made of particular materials, and they just make different sounds. The vibrations from hitting the outside and then swirling around the rim does have that vibration effect on the body, which is why things like humming and gargling are all good for your central nervous system regulation, which is what a lot of us are living with, is that dysregulation portion. So 3-part belly breathing. So most people want to, that I notice at work, breathe in their upper chest. So generally when it comes to breathing, there's 3 sections of your breath. There's the neck and chest muscles, there's your diaphragm, and then there's that pelvic, that deep belly breathing. And actually, when we take breaths, whether it's just a regular breath or someone's forcing us to do like a breathing practice, you actually should breathe all the way down to your belly, hit your diaphragm, and then hit your chest, instead of just stopping at that chest level. When you exhale, you should exhale from the reverse. So it's more so just an awareness piece. If I have somebody, if I had Patty sitting on the table behind me and I tell her to go ahead and breathe, I might see her go and breathe just in her upper chest. And that would be not advantageous, because then you're not stretching out those intercostals. Anything in your lats or your back is not getting the full breath to allow for that expansion. One way to really, Patty's going to demonstrate for me, one way to really,
and she just taught me this last week, so I'm a newbie to this as well.
It's a great practice. So we're going to do something called rib cage painting. So everybody take a moment, find a comfortable seat, get your wiggles out, and make sure that you are seated over top of both sit bones, and it's pretty even left to right. We're going to take our hands and we're going to leave them together. You can separate your fingers. They don't have to be glued together, but for purposes of the video, see how they make a C and a backwards C? You're going to take your hands and you're going to place them on your ribs. Doesn't have to be all the way up to your armpits. You just want to make sure you're at least enveloping the bottom part of those ribs. Your thumbs are going to go on the back side. Your fingers are going to wrap around towards the front. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and really just listen to what I'm saying. So I really want you to just start with taking some really big, deep, full breaths. So you're going to inhale through your nose and you're going to hold it at the top. And then you're going to gently exhale out through your mouth. And I want you to feel where the pressure of your lungs into your ribs, into your hands, is touching the inner parts of your C's that you created. So when you take that deep breath, do you feel yourself filling out into that first finger and thenar space? Do you feel pressure into your thumbs or your fingertips? And notice what you feel. Take one more breath to really feel and gently let it out. Now I'm going to tell you on your next breath that the inside of your ribs is like a big cave that you're trying to paint. So imagine taking that paintbrush and swirling it around the whole inside of your chest cavity, and you're trying to cover the whole thing with paint. The paint is your breath. So can you fill that entire cavity side to side and front and back with that paint? So maybe you inhale and you take a deep breath and you feel it fill out on the lateral sides of your body and the front of your ribs, but maybe you don't feel it into your thumbs. So you start directing your breath into that spot, and then you let it out. And then maybe on this next breath, you inhale and you are aware that you need to send it to the back of your ribs. But you then are taking it away from the front. So then you push into the front of your fingertips. So you want to take those breaths so that they're filling out the entire section of your hands. And that's really what a full rib cage breath should feel like. Do 2 more breaths. Nice, big, full breaths. And then gently blink your eyes open. Hopefully we didn't just make you super sleepy. And hopefully you feel a little bit more focused or aware, or just aware of how you're breathing in general.
Okay. What can happen if we don't utilize mindfulness and mindfulness practices in our own life? Anxiety and stress. And these things, the reason the pyramid's upside down is because they're all piling on each other. We've already talked about anxiety, stress, medical emergencies can be our own or someone in our family or someone that you're caring for at work, heart issues, chest pain, blood pressure issues, lack of tools, as far a lack of focus, just like your brain is going crazy and the anxiety is building and all of that. I can feel that. I've had days like that. Sometimes it's related to a little too much coffee, but okay. And then aggressive behavior can result. So you can see this in people as these emotions start to pile. Lack of sleep also magnifies it. You can get high blood pressure. And then we're at the bottom where we're fearful that someone may self-harm. So go ahead.
Self-harm. So that takes us to mental health first aid, and a place that we don't want to see any of our employees, our families, and our loved ones. But mental health first aid is a training program that helps teach people how to recognize and assist others who may be experiencing a mental health or substance abuse challenge. So right now, 1 in 5 Americans struggle with mental health conditions, which is a staggering number to me. There are many health resources out there for them. 988 is the number to call for 24/7 help and assistance with mental health and substance abuse crises. If calling is intimidating, they do have a 24/7 chat, which is 988helpline.org. And then the NAMI also has a phone number, which is a great resource for teens and young adults. And then the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So the mental health first aid training is a great training to take. You can take it virtually. You can take it in person, depending on where you are. It does require renewal every several years, but it's been super insightful for me, and being able to help those at my current job, because I've had to stop and have this conversation seriously with some of my employees. So what can you do? What can you do to help prevent mental health and substance use challenges from impacting employees' performance or just impacting their day in general? There's this action plan called LG for helping assist somebody who's going through a potential crisis. So approach. How are you approaching the person, and then how are you approaching the situation? Are you making sure that you are bringing calm into their environment? Are you freaked out? Are you unsure of what you can do to help? They're going to feel that chaos and that energy. Listen without judgment or interjection. I know that can be hard for most folks. We all like to listen, to interject and say our side, but that's really not helpful in these situations. Give reassurance to them. Let them know they're not alone and you're there to help walk them through whatever it is that you can help them do. Encourage professional help, and then encourage self-help strategies. So maybe things that work for you, maybe they're self-help strategies for that moment to help just get them to calm down and listen to you. They might not be in a space to do that, but some of those self-help strategies may be for long-term. What are you seeing in the individual? Are they completely different than they are on a normal day? Are they fidgety, anxious? Are they ragey? Allow the person to express and vent their feelings. Assess them for risk. Do you think they are going to self-harm themselves? If they physically say the words, then that is definitely a different conversation. Try to ask open-ended questions, because yes or no questions don't help them to even determine what's happening in their brain, and they can deflect really easily with that. And then know your limits. So even if you go through a mental health first aid course, you are not there to diagnose the individual. Know your limitations. We're just there to help guide them to get them the assistance that they need.
Okay, we're gonna, so our employer, the site that we work at, has a lot of resources available for their employees to do with mental health, and they've had a big focus. And I was gifted one of these. The picture on the left is the sticker I have on my computer. It has a little texture to it, and this is for box breathing. Many of you may be aware of it, where you inhale for 4, you hold for 4, you exhale for 4, and then you hold again. And you do that. You can do that for a minute or 2. I find myself during stressful meetings with my finger just going around on that sticker. But what we all have with us every single day, and is your hand. And this is a great tool. Part of our research for this, we discovered this, and this is something you can teach an employee. So as you trace your thumb up is an inhale, and then you hold, and then exhale. Inhale, and then exhale, and then inhale to your index finger, and then exhale, ring finger, inhale, and then exhale. Sorry, did my hand go down? Oh, I'm sorry. We're tracing up and then down your hand, the inside and then down. I was focused on what I was doing, sorry. But the hand can serve as just that. It is a tool. It is a place for your employees to focus, and it also is a physical task so that your brain is occupied and can help you refocus and block out some of the extra noise that you may have going on. But this was something we discovered a few weeks ago on a website, and we're like, oh, we're teaching this because it's interesting to be able to inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So the next time you see Bri and I on a Teams meeting, we're going to be doing this. So anyway, what's our next slide? We're getting close to the end here.
We are. Thanks for sticking with us. So sometimes it's helpful just know what the employees have as resources. So I know with our utility company, they utilize massage and chiropractic reimbursements. They have special rebates and offers through different wellness programs. I know that they have access on one of their platforms to 24/7 assistance if they are in the middle of a crisis. They just need to have a profile that's established. We don't have access to those things, so I can't technically walk them through it without them actually being in a crisis moment. But their supervisors have the ability to help us walk through it, so that just we know it's there. The other important thing is to know what your company offers for you, if they do at all. So just things to note. So as we start to wrap up here, just know the major thing to recognize is just being kind to yourself. So not having any judgments when you observe your thoughts and feelings, and then just accepting where you are in that current moment. It might not be the same place that you were this morning. Maybe something happened that completely changed your schedule and derailed you. Maybe you've got something that's happening in your personal life, but meet yourself where you're at. If all you can do is take 5 breaths in a row to help yourself out, then great. If you have the ability to vent to somebody else and you can take a walk, then maybe that's what you need also. So just giving yourself grace. If mindfulness is new for you, then it's just about making those small progress goals. And then you can challenge yourself to include mindfulness into your day. So we've talked about stretching and relaxation, walks and eating, and then, meditation and doing different classes. But what's interesting is repetitious tasks. So a lot of our employees do the same tasks all day, in and out, and maybe they just need to redirect their focus and take a couple minutes to find some clarity before returning to the repetitive task and potentially getting injured. These are some different resource apps. I believe these are all free, but they may have in-app purchases that are necessary. But if someone is just a little bit more into the tech part of that, then these are things that I know I have had experience with Headspace, something that we used to offer here and our employees used to have, which they would love to have back if they could.
The company paid for it,
Yep.
Headspace, during
Yep.
COVID for all of our 8,000 employees, which was pretty generous. So we all got a little bite.
A little taste of that.
Yeah. Okay, so one of our studies, the one from the University of Michigan, had these QR codes to get to guided meditation. One of them's from the Mayo Clinic. So if you'd like to be able to access some of those through this talk, we're going to hold on to this slide for just a second. I know I told you to put your phone down, but now you can get it out now. And it will be...
Sorry, we were reading that.
We're reading it. People are putting stuff. Anyway, so, all right, next slide. So where are you now? Would you choose different little, I want to call them emojis, but different little avatar bots here? Are you confident now? Are you excited? Are you grateful? Are you calm? Maybe you're calm. Maybe you're proud that you stuck it out for the whole thing and you're going to get your CEUs. Are you happy? Are you confused? If you're a little confused, well, now's the time for questions. Have at it. Questions. We'll take whatever you got for what time is it? We got 5 minutes. So any questions? Let's see what's going on in the chat here.
I did see something that popped up about the 988 site not working, which is something that we wondered was going to happen because of funding. So when we went through doing our slides, we checked those out and they did still work, but we know that there have been funding that have been cut for several of those things. So if I did not know that, because I didn't look that up today, but if that is true, I think it's in here somewhere. I think
And the crazy thing of the 988 is you just can't call it and check and see if it's working, because it's like falsely calling 911. So I reached out to a couple mental health agencies in West Michigan about what tools were still working, and I never heard back, unfortunately, before our presentation.
Oh, sorry, Michael, I'm just now seeing your addition in there, and maybe the website
Right.
title changed in just their reorganization.
Right. So, and we are, one of my favorite parts about being a member of this organization is the network. And you guys, network is powerful here. And as we can see in the chat, the network is still powerful. So, if you need more information, or if someone has a question, Michael and all the other people on here have. So if you want to reach out to us, here's our emails. Otherwise, we'll be out in the kayaks. I wish we could go kayaking this afternoon, but it's 50 and pouring rain. So there'll be no kayaking today. But thank you for this opportunity. It's been a blast. I hope you have one crumb that you can take with you to try to make a little positive change.
I'm going to drop the Hertz frequencies in the chat. Give them a listen. There are just some that are just sound. They are very great. I used to use them when I taught yoga, and they were great for pre-postnatal sessions.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, you guys, for your attention.
You're welcome, everyone.
Yeah, and thank you, everybody. And if y'all could just hold on for one more second, and then also wanted to plug the sound frequencies. Thanks for bringing that up. I know, like, for everybody, like, there's a handful, like, people don't like certain sounds. I'm one of them. But then I came across pink noise. Absolutely love it. Right. Spotify has like a pink noise like playlist that you can have for like sleeping and all that.
That's great to know. They do I use Spotify also, and if you search those Hertz frequencies, they do have playlists for those different frequencies also.
Yeah, and it looks like Pam said, so like brown, green, and white I couldn't handle, but pink noise for whatever reason sounds like the ocean to me. So
Interesting.
sleep.
All right, we're gonna be writing that one down. See, it's share whatever you learned, whatever you know. So, okay, so you're gonna put a QR code in there.
I am. Yep. So,
Okay.
So for everybody, just wanted to say again, thank you, Patty Bree, for taking the time and doing this.
This concludes the IATS OnDemand Continuing Education Program video. To claim your CU, you must be a member of the Industrial Athletic Trainers Society and complete the From Claim Your CU found in the YouTube description. If you have any interest in learning more about what the Education Committee has to offer, reach out to the email address on your screen. If you would like to volunteer your time to speak on a topic that interests you, please reach out. Thank you and stay safe.